Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
The Niners and Rams got together for a loser leaves town kind of game, so who's leaving? Also, the Bills and Lions are getting ready for a Super Bowl preview, and the state of Pennsylvania will belong to either Pittsburgh or Philadelphia after Sunday. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started.
I'm Peter Bukowski, starting your day with the can't-miss stories and biggest debates in sports. You're Locked On Sports Today.
Searching all major sports. Found.
Let's start with the biggest story.
It's hard to imagine a team playing two more different games. Last week against the Buffalo Bills, the LA Rams scored approximately 100 touchdowns. And in a game against the 49ers on Thursday night in the rain, the two teams combined for 0 touchdowns. A 12-6 final. The Rams get the win. They advance to 8-6. They have been red hot now for more than 2 months. Doug McCain, always red hot with us, Locked On Rams co-host, joins me now. And Doug, if you're looking at reasons to believe in this Rams team, winning two very different kinds of games in two very different kinds of ways, that has to be near the top of the list, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Like you mentioned, I mean, it wasn't the prettiest win, but it was a beautiful win if you're a Los Angeles Rams fan, because not only do you see your playoff chances go above 50%, but you end your arch nemesis, your rival San Francisco 49ers season in their playoff hopes, and you go 2-0 against them this season. You do it in a fashion where you're behind a really nice game on the ground. The run game, they came to play. You're getting big first downs in big spots. You're taking time off the clock. And it was a really great performance by the defense. Really the play of the game late. The Rams up 9-6, a little over 5 minutes to play. The 49ers in Rams territory, and Brock Purdy throws a deep ball intended for Juwan Jennings. And Darius Williams, he makes a great play on it. He intercepts that pass, and the Rams, they come back, and you have a long drive, almost 5 minutes. You take a lot of time off the clock. They use 4:56, went 69 yards in 13 plays to essentially ice that game. Yeah. And they gave the 49ers just 18 seconds left with a 6-point deficit. So really great win for the Rams. And like you point out, now they have shown they can win different ways. It's on a short week after beating one of the hottest teams in the NFL last Sunday.
And now, you know, they sit here just a game back of the Washington Commanders. It seemed like this NFC West was going to limp a playoff team in with a winner, and now they could get two teams in here with Seattle set to take on Green Bay on Sunday night. The Commanders, they don't have an easy schedule to close here. The Rams, they still have a chance to win this division, though. That has to be at the top of their mind. What is the biggest reason why you think this team was able to come back when at the beginning of the season it looked like it was going to be a long year in LA?
Well, it's similar to last season where they're getting hot at the right time. They got the guys healthy at the right time. It's no surprise to me that when Puka Nacua comes back, instantly he changed the offense. He's already playing really at a all-pro level, making big plays. He got that big 51-yarder tonight. He was big in his opportunities. And then you have Cooper Kupp that's healthier this year than he was last year. They kind of balled him up for most of the game, but he's making plays. But I think that you're seeing this Rams offense looking like the offense that we expected, not tonight, but more so against the Buffalo Bills. But the defense with a lot of young players have emerged and gotten better as this season's gone along. You have a rookie in Jared Verse, who is the runaway for Defensive Player of the Year. Braden Fisk out of Florida State's been big. And a lot of second-year guys like Kobe Turner and Byron Young, they've taken leaps too. A lot of great safety play as well. So the biggest reason for this run for the Rams is, look, you got a Super Bowl winning head coach in Sean McVay and a Super Bowl winning quarterback in Matthew Stafford. We know what you're going to get on their best days, but I think the rest of this roster has caught up as the year's gone along.
Is there any part of this? I know this is not the elite version of the 49ers, but Kyle Shanahan has big brothered Sean McVay a little bit in this matchup, and the Rams, They won a game earlier this season. They had absolutely no business winning. The 49ers, I think, had a win probability over 95% with 5 minutes to go and lose that game. Now you get the sweep here. Is there a little bit of monkey off the back feeling for if you're a Rams fan, if you're a Rams player, that like, hey, this used to be a team that we struggled with and we just showed in 2 games we're better than them?
100%. I mean, what Rams fans, the card that they would play is that you won the one that mattered, right? The 2021 NFC Championship game. But in the regular season, Kyle Shanahan always had his way with Sean McVay. But you win 2 games against them this season, one at home and then one tonight on the road. But you also won the last game of the season last year. Yes, a lot of players were sitting out, but now you've won 3 games in a row against San Francisco. The Rams haven't done that since 2000, 2001. I mean, early 2000s. So you're
Warner Rams
kind of change. Exactly. It's been a long time, but I can tell you that Rams fans are very passionate. And to steal a phrase from Aaron Donald, I hate the San Francisco 49ers with a passion. And AD spoke for all Rams fans when he said that. So, yeah, this is as satisfying as it gets for Rams fans. It doesn't matter that they didn't light up the scoreboard like they did against the Bills. A win is a win. And when it's against San Francisco to end their season's hopes, hey, it's massive.
You can stay up to date all year on the LA Rams by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Rams on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. You're locked on a Football Friday. Coming up, we could be watching a Super Bowl preview this Sunday. Before we get there, Jaden Daniels and crew are back. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. This Sunday, plenty of value to be had. The New York Giants are a professional football franchise, allegedly. At least some say they are, because FanDuel may argue that point. They have the Giants as massive home dogs to the Baltimore Ravens. I'm sure both teams have been vastly different this year, but it's a big gap. FanDuel has the Ravens favored by 16.5. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. The Commanders are fresh off a bye and ready to build on their playoff resume.
Yeah, I mean, the first foremost established the run. We already talked a lot about that, but clearly that's very important for this Washington Commanders team. So that's going to be number 1. Number 2 is to score early. And number 3 is harass that quarterback. Whoever, Jay Kaner, Spencer Rattler, both of them. Ben DiNucci, you know what I mean? Just harass them. Don't let them get comfortable.
Absolutely. For the New Orleans Saints, it's not entirely dissimilar, man. It's run the ball effectively, as we've discussed. It's avoid their mid-game slump. They've had some issues in the second and third quarters. And then it's managing the run game on the opposite side, which becomes a part of the conversation of limiting rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels as best as you can. So we know the run game is going to be absolutely vital here. Let's talk a little bit about the fast start and the sustained success that these two teams need. Like I mentioned, the New Orleans Saints in the second and third quarters have seen slumps under Darren Rizzi so far. Interim head coach Darren Rizzi has spoken about this during press conferences. I think that's going to be a big focus this week. They talked about kind of keeping the second half going. They even made the second half of practices a little bit more intense. I think the next thing they're going to be doing here is trying to figure out how to make that midsection of practices a little bit more intense as well. Get this team a little bit more conditioned and ready to go to keep it going for not just the first 15 minutes and the last 15 minutes, but everything in between as well.
Baker Mayfield needs to beat Justin Herbert this week. So how will that happen?
To me, it's make smart decisions, run the ball early, often, and efficiently, and then bend, don't break. So smart decisions, right? Sounds simple. Baker is struggling to do exactly that the last couple of weeks. Last week against the Raiders, 3 turnovers. The Raiders had like 5 takeaways all season coming into that game, and the Bucs turned it over 3 times. Now, the first interception, you tip your hat. It was a great play by Chason. And then the fumble, Baker didn't stand a chance. It was Rashad versus 2 blitzers. He's got to be able to hold onto that ball, but it's really not on him. But the week before, 2 interceptions by Baker Mayfield against the Carolina Panthers. So that's 5 turnovers in the last 2 weeks. Luckily, the Bucs win both games, but you're on the road. If you're not going to win the turnover battle, you have to at least break even. They've gotten away with losing the turnover battle 2 straight weeks and still winning the game. That's not happening on the road against the Chargers. You have to make better decisions. You have to protect the football. Then run the ball. early, often, efficiently. I don't care if Bucky Irving plays or not. The Bucs still have to figure out a way to run the football with Rachaad White and Sean Tucker. Since returning from the bye, the Bucs have 157, 236, 152 rushing yards in each of the last 3 weeks as a team. That has to continue. You run the ball efficiently. You're going to control the clock. You're going to keep your defense on the sideline. You're going to be able to control the tempo of the game. And in a game like this, that's probably going to come down to one possession, you need to be the one that has the ball way more often than the other team.
And the Chicago Bears can upset the Vikings if.
Yeah, I think it's about coming out and getting Caleb Williams confident and into a rhythm quickly and early, and being able to give him answers for the Vikings blitz, to be able to let him be decisive. And because against the 49ers, the thing that stood out, like, yes, we've seen him hold the ball too long at times this season or whatever. And we've seen him maybe not pull the trigger on some throws, but like he felt even tentative to just like flee the pocket. Like he would like wait that extra half a second before he'd start to scramble, and wouldn't necessarily like scramble in a hurry, and he'd get chased down and sacked before he would, where in the past he would escape and make a miraculous Houdini's type of effort. So like, just to sort of like get him back playing with some of that confidence and some of that energy that can get this offense going. Like the Vikings were, I think, the only team the Bears scored a touchdown on in the first quarter all season, came up to a 7-0 lead there to start. And like, that's what the Bears need to get going. So it's not 24-0 at halftime like it was against the 49ers, and they have to pull some miraculous comeback at the end. And then, the defense is going to give up yards. They're going to get gashed a lot, but it's about those turnovers, right? If they can get one or even two off of Sam Darnold, maybe one off of a ball carrier, like give them extra possessions that don't end in points for the Vikings. And like, that's how you sort of shoot out your way to a, 30-27 overtime type of final score.
The Super Bowl may look a lot like the game on Sunday as the Bills and Lions face off. Locked On Bills and Locked On Lions have the keys to victory for each side.
Yeah, I got three things, Matt. Number one is being aggressive on offense. We talked about some of the matchup challenges that the Bills can present based on personnel. And obviously the Lions do have a lot of injuries on the defensive side of the football. Still a good unit, still, high performing. They got dudes, man, and they're well coached. Nothing but respect for Detroit and the entire operation. But if there's going to be a path for Buffalo in this game, I think it's going to be aggressive offense that not only maybe takes advantage of some matchups that are in the Bills' favor, but like I said, help your run defense by maybe getting Detroit to not run the ball a million times against you, and the Bills can obviously be had against the ground. So number two is they got to have the right plan against the Lions' run game. The Bills don't play base defense at all. They play nickel, and if they play something else, it's dime. 5-6 defensive backs on the field always. So how are you going to deal with this? The Lions will play heavy personnel. They're going to run the ball a ton. They have physical offensive linemen. Your defensive line's not been super stout against the run. It's not like horrible, but it's mediocre, and this is a top-tier rushing offense. And do you need to run blitz? Do you need to roll a safety down into the fit to help yourself? You got to have the right plan. I'm not sitting here telling you what the plan is. That's for Sean McDermott and Bobby Babbage to figure out. But whatever it is, you got to do enough here to limit it and not allow the Detroit Lions to have 300 rushing yards on you. And then number three is I have written down is nothing miscellaneous. The Detroit Lions show up every week with trick plays. They show up with stuff on special teams that's unique. They're a team that can score on defense. And this isn't the type of game where you can come into it and afford to have a punt block for a touchdown or give up a big return in special teams, or, you're playing decent defense and then they wake up because they're throwing a hook and ladder. Whatever the things the Lions do, man, you got to be ready for all of those possibilities and make sure that this game's decided in normal fashion as opposed to miscellaneous things that extend a drive or give an unexpected touchdown to a team that's really good at home.
No, I think that's those are all great points and all great things to circle. For the Lions, it's pretty simple. First quarter is something that I'm circling only because last week was so emotional. They played the Thanksgiving Day game at home. Then it's another Thursday game against the Packers. Both division games, Bears and Packers, they wanted those. I'm not saying they're overlooking the Bills. No way. Yeah. They know how good Buffalo is. There's nobody more focused than the Lions and Dan Campbell getting everybody ready. But a few days off, a few extra days for this first quarter. Do the Lions come out 100% into this thing? Keep an eye on that. First 5 minutes is going to be key. What if the Bills throw the first punch? Or the Lions going to be ready for it? Watch the open of this game and just see how that goes. I think the Lions have got to come out with the same intensity that they did against Green Bay. and it'll help that the fan base is crazy and the place will be loud. Number 2 is getting pressure, certainly on I should say protecting Jared Goff. What I found interesting watching Rams-Bills last week, I don't believe you guys sacked Matthew Stafford at all.
No.
Right? And it's not all sacks. I know you're a pressures guy too and some pass rush win rate stuff. But for the most part, if they can do what the Rams O-line did with Stafford and keep Rousseau and some of those other guys off of Jared Goff, I think it'll be a good day for the Lions offense, certainly. And then you mentioned before about trick plays and stuff. I want to keep it simple if I'm the Lions. Like you said, hey, Penei Sewell on a reverse throw in the football, that's fun. Fans loved it. It was an attempt on Thanksgiving Day, but let's maybe keep those in the bag this week and just go with Montgomery and Gibbs and pound the rock and stay with it. Because like you said, Joe, and we've been at this 26 minutes, if the Bills can be run upon a little bit here, the Lions need to take advantage of that and not have one of those games where Goff's throwing it 40 or 50 times.
Yeah, and a big part of the Rams and I think how they were able to be so successful, literally it was by EPA, it's a top 10 performance in the NFL in the last 25 years, what the Rams did to the Bills on defense.
You can stay up to date all year on the Buffalo Bills and Detroit Lions by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today, Locked On Bills, and Locked On Lions on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Coming up, Pennsylvania bragging rights are on the line this Sunday. And no, it's not an election. The Steelers have seemingly put it all together with Russell Wilson, while the Eagles are back in the conversation for the best team in the NFC. They face each other on Sunday. Locked On Eagles and Locked On Steelers have you covered on what to expect.
Chris, I think there is a common theme of this show for both offenses and for both defenses. I really do think it comes down to who wins the battle in the trenches, and that does sound cliche, but I think the strong suit of the Eagles offense is running the football. I think the strong suit of the Pittsburgh Steelers offense is running the football. Both teams have a really good defensive front, though. It's a kind of a strength-on-strength battle, and that's going to make it a fun game to watch. I really do think whoever wins that on both sides, they're probably going to win this game.
I think so, too. Also, I want to correct myself. I said that the Eagles have the number 1 run defense. They have the number 1 total yards defense.
Total yards, yep.
Right. That was my mistake there. But I think one element that's going to be really crucial here, if you look back at how the Steelers attacked the Bengals defense, not good. It's like the worst defense in the NFL. But the Bengals defense tried to overcommit to two factors. They wanted to stuff the run, and they wanted to take away the deep ball. You saw early in the half, and I wrote about this in the post because that last week, they deployed like 3/4 of their defense was basically 2 high safeties, but the linebackers and the defensive line, their first steps was crush the run. So they were going to say, hey, Russell Wilson, we know you like the deep ball. Hey, Steelers, we know you like Najee Harris and Jalen Warren. So we're going to take away both, and you're going to have to beat us by working the short passing game.
Intermediate, yeah.
And then that's what Russell Wilson did. He was like, all right, here. And then eventually the Bengals like, oh, man, all right, we got to go to 1 high safety. And then all of a sudden, bang, deep down the field, big plays, and then it opens up the Steelers' offense a bit more. That's where the Eagles' defense is going to have to win. If they can take away the run without overcommitting a second safety down low, that's going to be big. But then here's the thing is that if they're not overcommitting to the run, when Russell Wilson tries to get some of those plays, and they'll use misdirection, they'll use play action, they'll use bootlegs, they'll use different things to try to catch you running in the wrong direction. If they allow space for guys like Najee Harris, guys like Jalen Warren, number 2 tight end, Darnell Washington. If they allow those guys to get space and they start catching the ball and they start getting downfield, that's how the Steelers offense can start to pace itself and then dink and dunk you and make it a death by 1,000 cuts. And that's where I think the Steelers like to live sometimes. And then, if the Steelers can get that balance, to me, it's not just running the ball. It's doing those little things on offense that kind of make you think a little much, and then they run the ball. Because now, as a linebacker, Nakobe Dean is his first step to the line of scrimmage now, or is his first step lateral to be kind of like, okay, who's coming this way? I mean, am I going to have to cover somebody on this one? That's what the Steelers offense has to do. They have to take the aggression out of this Eagles defense. And this is a very athletic defense. I feel like it's the Georgia defense. You got Nakobe Dean. You got
mostly is personnel-wise.
It's crazy. And what's funny is you're going against the Georgia offense. Well, the great Pickens ain't there, but Darnell Washington, Broderick Jones. There's going to be a lot of guys that know each other in this game.
True.
But and hey, maybe that's just Andy Weidel. There's the Andy Weidel Bowl going on right now. But I think that's the key here is outside of the trenches, It's who can get something else going to help them in the trenches battle, because both sides are going to have their wins and losses in the trenches, I think, on Sunday.
Yeah, it's strength on strength. I don't think anyone's going to completely overly dominate that matchup.
And finally, let's end today with a would you rather. Would you rather be Parker Fox or Trae Young? One is an NBA superstar and the other has been in college for 8 years. No, seriously. In the same time that Trae Young has built his NBA career, Parker Fox has played 2 full collegiate careers. Fox played 4 years for Northern State University and in his 4th season now at the University of Minnesota. Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. Lots of people go to college for 8 years. They're called doctors. Okay, I said it. If you're catching this episode after hearing your favorite Locked On show, make sure to subscribe to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. Also, if you're a new subscriber to Locked On Sports Today, we're here for you with the biggest stories in sports every day. Coming up on the next Locked On Sports Today, who will be eliminated from the playoffs on Sunday? Who'll punch their ticket? So at least until tomorrow, stay locked on Sports Today.
Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
Go to our video on demand. Click on sports at the top of your screen. There, you'll find past episodes of Locked On Sports Today, plus other Locked On shows on demand.